Okay, that should get us started live. Let me notify everyone that we're on there. And I will go ahead and put that on. Okey-dokey. Okay, we're looking at the SPY, which has met its target, which was something we had hoped for. We were feeling pretty good about it. Let's draw a line on it, though. And, oops, I highlighted the whole thing. Horizontal line. So the entry was right about there. New parallel, and put the target right up there. It just hit. Then we got a gray dot right after that strike, so that looks, at least just for that low to be retested, not a big signal. From a short side, we're still in that ES overall. So still playing with that one. We closed out quite a bit of it. It was just been a good run. I did want to go over, and I'm going to put that up, is generally how you would read one of our typical dot alert emails. It's always pertinent information because, it varies off and on. I do want to let everyone know, even though I put it out there, that we were going to go on. So we'll go to stock puts real quick and mention that we're going to be doing our live cast now, so that everyone can do it. And I will put down what we're going to be going over. So we're going to talk about SLV. We're going to go over the VIX. We're also going to, we're currently going over SPY right now. As well as how to read dot alert emails. Okay, so everyone's been notified of that setup. And in fact, let me pull up my emails so that I can grab one and have it handy for us to go over. So far today, 263 dot alerts have gone out. Wow. Not uncommon in a typical day. Easy to see 400 plus. So, not surprising. Let's get one right here that just came in. Well, that was a little while ago. Let's get something that just happened. Okay, just a couple of moments ago, Amazon issued an alert. So let's grab it and we'll slide it into place. And it's a little big, so I'm going to have to shrink this down a bit. Just like that. And I'll scroll this up. Okay, so this is a typical email that would come into you, and you'll notice that the time does not correspond to New York time. You have to add the 3 hours because it's coming from the West Coast. No shock with that. So in this case it says Amazon 15-minute chart orange dot. Okay, well we already know an orange dot is a buy signal. Fine. So in that particular case, then we go to the text that's actually written. And once you get the hang of this, do you really even need to see much past that's just a 15-minute orange dot? I mean, you can look at the tagline and already know what to do. But for those who are new at it, let's go over it a little step by step. So basically, it's alerting you to the time frame, and it says it's an orange dot buy, and how to calculate your up target. So your up target is equal to the close. Now the close is always put down here where it says price at 249.80. So 249.80 becomes the price tag that you're going to see and say, okay, that was it. So the first thing I want to know at that point is, fine, I got my orange dot. I know what the close price is that the alert came in at. Is the trend green or is the trend red? If the trend is green, then I can go ahead and just buy it. If the trend is red, then I want to take a look at it and project a discount. Now, in order to do that, you would have to be in front of a screen where you would be able to look at the 15-minute bar of that particular period to know what the high-low range was. So if you're looking at that individual bar, and, well, let's do that, why not? So let's go over and get an Amazon on here, and we will select that 15-minute and take a look at the signal as it's happening live. I mean, that's the best way to do it, right? As we speak. So here's the other information. It's going to say ATR times 1.2. And you're going to be saying to yourself, well, what's an ATR? It means average true range. And that can be found on any standardized chart. There's nothing special about an ATR that would be hard to find. And I'll show you how I do it from our chart standpoint. As soon as we plop it back on here, it still hasn't finished calculating. Getting close. And then for the stop, it would be 2 times the ATR. Alright, so here's our 15-minute. Voila. Still doing a little processing until you see that circle. So the yellow line is always your buy, your cyan is the target, and you can see that we had our earlier signal before. Not uncommon for it to retrace like it's doing here. And then it eventually hit the target. And we were actually, I think, live the last time. We got this one, so that worked out just fine overall. Oh, I've got a second indicator down here that's actually reading. Unless I got more than one chart on that. We don't want that. No wonder it was taking so long. Get rid of that one. Okay, so 15-minute. We can go up here to where the target would be, and we can go to where the close is. Now, TradeStation, the easiest way to go to the close would be the snap mode. It will go to the high, or it will go to the close, or it will snap to the open. And that's the beauty of a candle. It gives you your open, your close, your high, and your lows. Fine. So that's the close right there. 24.90.80. Okay. And if I slide it over, without doing that, just clicking it once, slide it over a little, we can see the up target 251.14. Okay, so you can see that my little yellow, blue, not quite exactly on. And so that's what happens when you have it in snap mode. It will go to the nearest high and not my dot. So I need 251.14. Okay, I'm at 11. That's close enough. Now, how would we get there? Okay, so easy enough. I'm going to put on an average true range, and I just run it over price. Okay, so there it is, over price. And I'll whip out my little handy calculator, and you can do this on your telephone, even if you were out. Because you can go to freestockcharts.com, which I put down on the information of the video detailing the how to read the emails. So you can always go there. And oh, please, if anyone's having a sound issue or it's good, at least just give me a note there on the chat, letting me know that everything is good. Because at least from my end, it looks fine. And I'm not seeing anyone writing that they can't hear it, which is always a good thing. Alright, so if we click over here, we can see ATR is 1.08. So I take 1.08 multiplied by 1.23, and I actually add the 6 in there. So it gives me $1.33, roughly. So if you add $1.33 to 249, you get 251.11. Okay? So it's pretty straightforward. It's not complicated at all. If you happen to be out, you could, on your mobile phone, get that information from Free Stock Charts, because even if you couldn't go to a 78-minute chart and you wanted to do that, all you would have to do is take a 60-minute and just do 1.25. You know, you don't have to be precise if you're not in front of something that can give you the exact information, but it certainly gives you a broad guideline. So that's helpful. So if we go back to the email, so, and then it says the stop is equal to close minus the ATR times 2. So we know that ATR is 1, so it would be basically a little over $2 stop, with our profit target being, $1.30 plus. So that's pretty straightforward. The only other variation you're going to get, and let's take a look at some others that have just recently popped in here. What's this one? Google 10 minute. All right, and here's one that's just a basic informational model. It's telling you that the trend on a 10 minute has turned green. Okay, and that may sound trivial, but it's important because now you know that the next signal you get from a Google, it's in green trend, so you're going to be able to take it, unless the trend from a different time frame has turned red or something like that to supersede it. And you'll get these for all the different time frames going through. So that becomes relevant just from a perspective of knowing, you know, what I'm looking at. Now, you'll notice that this is spinning, and that's because the 40 after mark just hit, which means a host of new signals have just been applied into the setup, and it's forwarding all those to everyone right now. So those of you who have your phones and that are going to start to get inundated with a whole new series of signals. So here was the Baidu 10-minute gray dot. Okay, that's a little bit of a warning signal on that one. eBay 10-minute gray dot as well. Kind of a combination of those. A gray dot short from Win. Okay, so are we catching a theme happening there? And Apple also 10-minute gray. So that's not uncommon, and it's really a good one to actually have happen to us live as we're sitting here, because they're all coming in at the same time, pretty much saying the same thing, that certain aspects have reached a peak level, and those are probably some of the ones that have had really decent run overall through the setup, and got time to perhaps retrace a little bit. Those are all quick time frames, though, nothing in the high time frames, not even a FAS. So that's cool. Can't hurt to get that. Okay, now we got a bunch of the higher time frame ones coming through. If I scroll back up, we'll just get my new ones. You can see those just came in. 78-minute for Goldman. Trend has turned green. Orange dot buy for Goldman as well. And now that's great because we're about to go over Goldman Sachs in just a moment. So, can't believe that. Oh, Cine hit its target? Did it really? Let's go and plop it up there because I know I actually got a couple of emails where people thought I was nuts on this call, and I'm like, I didn't see what the big deal was about it, but okay. Yep, there it is. We had a target of 50.59, and well, look at the high, 50.59. Really? I mean, it can't. No, it's not going to stay that way because that would be embarrassing to be that exact to it. It's not supposed to be that perfect. It's supposed to shoot past or move under. My wife texted me about the news saying fiscal cliff is not a word that we're supposed to use in 2013. Yeah, keep telling yourself that. That's fine. Who cares? They're just names. They don't really mean anything. No different than an orange dot. It could have called it a grapefruit, anything else, because it doesn't matter what the name is. It's the effect of what it's supposed to do, and it's doing what it's supposed to do. So there you go. That one was fine. Everyone's happy with that call. Interesting that we would get another orange dot on the Amazon right at this particular spot where we're seeing some potential weakness, but it's a little tougher there because those are on a few very select ones. It wasn't a broad range. I think some of those have moved quite a range. We added SLV to the overall list because commodities are going to be, well, we've been trading commodities for quite some time as far as my members go in the form of WLT, CLF, some of these others, X, even USO. We were hot for USO for a while. Did very nicely with that one. It's good balance in our portfolio for that one. Oh, we should check on my ES trade to see what it's doing. See, now we went all the way back down to the 405. I told you not to worry. We'd get back up here again. And we've sold most of it. Only have 5 contracts. I should have bought more while I was down there. What was I thinking? Should have followed my 10-minute SPY signal, because those look really good. But we're fine. Been doing some other detail work getting ready for the new year. So SLV looking very positive as we were retracing these lows under a really deep, ugly scenario with the dip into the red trend, and that's particularly what caught my interest with it because it had gotten kind of exacerbated. Shakeout had dipped here below the blue line with my yellow line, and then the histograms were starting to pick up. Not overbought yet. Again, minus 20, so it's pretty close to what we were seeing with some of the other ones that had nice little pops today. Nothing getting itself out of control from a supernova standpoint just yet. So that's a good thing to know, that you're not looking at some kind of crazed move, that it's really within it. Explain the red dot, green dot, orange, and when they... I like to think of when we get these dots in order. Like right here is a good one where you had just the cyan and the extreme fractal come in at the same time. A lot of times you'll get those as well as an orange dot all at once. And all that's telling you is that you have more fractal buyers. It gives you a little bit stronger sense of the signal because it's telling you that it's not just one group that's looking to it. It's these three distinct groups, because these guys all do their little thing at different points. And there are times where you can get all of those and a green dot, and that gives you a clear idea that everyone's excited about this. Now, something to bear in mind, when you get everyone excited about something, if it goes the way it's supposed to go, it should be quick and should be dramatic. If it doesn't go that way, it's usually going to get really ugly really fast once it breaks down. Now, you could go several bars, and if they don't all of a sudden get it, then you get those giant whoosh bars that go down. And that's because these guys will get out if it doesn't move in the direction that they're expecting. Because again, after 5 or 6 bars, they've pretty much expected that they've either sucked up enough of the supply that there shouldn't be enough overhead resistance. And then if they go to move things and they catch overhead resistance, they have to bail quickly. And it's just one of those realities of trading. I mean, these guys, they do it all day long, every day. So they're not tied to it religiously. It's not, the end of the world for them if this one doesn't work out, because there are going to be dozens more over the next day, week, whatever. And they keep going at it. It's not like they stop. They'll have periods of voids, like look at this. I mean, for SLV, there really haven't been any activity in it for the longest period of time, and that was reflected in GLD as well. Both of those all had the same kind of similar setup. WLT was one that we've been trading all the way back in this red trend, and jumped on all of these early signals and caught the nice ride. We saw it got overbought a little bit, got out right at the peak, and then we started getting attracted right here when this orange dot came in. We started selling puts for it, got tons of shares right in here on all this dip when it looked like it was going to fall apart, and so we're in pretty strong position from a portfolio standpoint. And then boom, we get this kind of move. So not surprising to us, and welcome to all of our members that jumped on that one. And I can disable the ABM right there. Red dots about being below. Okay, this was something that was very specific about what I did with it. All buy dots are below price. All short dots are above price. Now, there's only 2 short dots, a red dot with a number. Can't mistake that for a red dot that's below. There's just no way to confuse it because they're distinguished. Let me go here and let's find a red dot short signal coming through on a email. Because we had some earlier. So it's just a matter of finding. Ah, here it is. Because it says to you, right there, red dot short. There's no confusing that. It's red dot short. Anything else is going to be from a buy signal. And then it tells you red dot, short stop, down target, and how to calculate the down target. So always you're going to see buy signals in the color dots below price, and when you see a color dot that's above, and you'll notice all these up targets are white. There's no color to any of them. They're just up targets. Only your buy signals come from down below. So hopefully that kind of clears that up in the sense of you're never going to find these colors above price. They're always going to be below it, and there's only 2 with numbers. That's the green dot and the red dot. and they happen to be a unique set of buyers. I'm not sure if they're the same individual because all I know is I see the subset fractal setups come in. I can't attribute them to a particular firm or anything like that. All I can say is that we can see when they've created an aggregate of their buys and their sells. And do these guys often work in a yin and yang where you'll get the green dot and then a red dot will come after they've reached their target, and then boom, it comes right back to it. It happens a lot. And if you see these dots enough, you'll see the same setups happen over and over again, and you're like, is there a correlation? And very possibly there is. Um, does it really matter? Not particularly, because we can see the effects over time. So now you can see that WLT in green trend here has gone positive extreme. All right, and well, not quite really. Actually, I was close. It looked positive, but it's not really. It's still negative 1. That's still kind of overbought, and now I'd have to turn my attention to the shakeout because I'll be looking for the first drop in the shakeout to go ahead and sell calls on the position that we have within the setup, and then depending on where the shakeout is in relation to where we reach our high, we will have to see whether or not we're going to be at a higher shakeout reading or not. Very nice to see the decline right here from our power momentum, and now the first cyan over the yellow. So you had these down, and then boom, now that's converted. So finally we've got the turnaround to the upside. Does it mean down the road when this reaches its peak, if this does go positive on that extreme, I will be expecting that low to get retested. So this becomes the benchmark if it does go positive as to where, I'll be looking for retraces. Now, it may not go positive today. It may happen on Wednesday if there's a continuation to it where I'll be pretty close to matching the highs. And then have a positive extreme, so it may be the next day that has that signal. No need to prejudge it. I'm not worried about it. Nothing bad from any of the general indications here. So, and we expected that we were going to get a lot of movement from our materials and commodities once things were quote-unquote worked out. But regardless, where else are you going to put your larger resources? And this was an argument I've been making. Oh, is that the SPY? Do we hit our target? Yeah. Oh, that's Amazon hitting its 15-minute target. Well, there you go. Gosh, that was fast. Literally put it up. It was underneath the buy line, so anyone who happened to tune in could have made that trade at any point right there. And without any effort at all, you just made yourself a nice little move on Amazon. How fun was that? I love it when it goes quick. It doesn't happen that often where it's like, boom, boom. But there you go. And this is part of what I tell people about being consistent with the dot alerts and that, because again, the profit targets and everything in the percentage win rates are based on making each of the trades. And that's why I've always recommended, breaking up your setup either into 3 equal components to where you can trade 3 different signals that come in, or, make any adjustment that way. So, let us go ahead and continue. That was the Senna that hit its target. Okay, good. We got a new high that was higher, 65. Because I would have felt really bad if we'd hit exactly on the target. Because typically you shouldn't hit just the target, because oftentimes you should get it and then get a little bit of a push past it. Maybe only a couple pennies, but usually it does push past it. Because they're going to be targeting their particular area. Not often do they get all the liquidity that they need at their specific spot. So LVS was very bullish on LVS from right back over here. This looked pretty good. My only concern was the drop down in my shakeout and the fact that my power momentum had the yellow above. But we dipped below the red line, and didn't we just talk about this in the earlier session? We did. We talked about how bullish it is to have green trend dip below the red line on the extreme histogram, particularly if you're not seeing any super negative decline or something like that from a shakeout reading or something like where it falls off. But in this particular case, I was very up on LVS. Orange dot guys jumped in again on Friday. Now, how many charts do we have to go through? This is what, 2 dozen that we've gone through now that showed buy signals on Friday. And I even made a point of, and I haven't put the VIX chart up in, I don't know that I've ever put it up on StockTwits before. It's usually something I just reserve for showing my members. And clearly, I mean, it was extremed and an easy buy signal. In fact, we'll go over it. It's right here. I was talking about it. It was right about here. We were in the middle of the day. It had slightly moved up, and I was like, okay, very attracted to the VIX at this particular point. So people were talking about just starting to get into it. I like to wait towards the end of the day on that because I get the extra volatility push. And I shorted there around 22.33 for the VIX. I was a little concerned when the day ended because we actually ended up with a little bit more of a positive extreme. But overall, we had already passed the buy. Sell target here at the shakeout at plus 25. So that had been pretty extreme, and we reached, don't even ask me about my increased volatility matrix or the volatility buy signal, but that's a whole different world. But I had made it very clear that we were targeting 1772, which was this positive extreme. So we laid that out for everybody. It was no hemming or hawing about it. I mean, I put it on StockTwits. It's there. You can't erase it. The record's complete with what you put out the charts, so there's no backtracking from it. But yeah, that was a decent play. We can go over that one in a little bit. But needless to say, let's go over the targets for LVS. Let me increase the size of this chart here so we can get closer. So going back from here, I put this buy signal up way back when it happened, and this is what I was talking about with the ducks in a row. You got red dot, orange dot, and cyan. And if I put those all on there, you can't even, I have to increase my chart. Look at this, I have to go all the way up here. Because that was an orange dot, extreme fractal, and a catfish. All in one. Up target was easy on that. But not only did it hit the up target, it then transitioned into green trend. Then in green trend, we got the orange dot. That looked for even higher. Got overbought as it peaked out up at the top here. Got over the 25 level. So you know you're going to look for a retrace at that point. So people say to me, usually right here, well, can I buy, move up? I'm like, wait for a pullback. Wait for the pullback. But you have to wait for a pullback when you expect a pullback to take place, and when you've gotten into these extremes, usually you're going to need some degree of a pullback, and, again, not positive there, but positive right here. So the retrace level that you'd be looking for was this positive extreme at 44.91. Now, yes, I expect that extreme to retrace. Do I just jump in because it reached that retrace? No. At that particular point, you wait to get a buy signal from a fractal player. Or, if you have the indicators like I do, you can take advantage of a setup like this where you've dipped below and then you get a higher extreme on a lower close. That's a dream come true on Friday. It was just crazy amount of buying at the end of Friday. It was ridiculous. I mean, well, you could even see from the futures and that. Because I had as many as 30 contracts from this setup. Now I'm down to 5, but, a lot of that transitioned way back. So no issues whatsoever with any of what's taking place, and no surprise really. Not shocked by any of it, given what we've seen over the last couple of weeks with the bullish setups building. I was really surprised though at how weak Apple had maintained itself. That it really that shakeout had not improved more. And in fact, let's just put it up for the sake of argument because we'd followed it for quite a while. And I wanted to start out like, I kept saying to people, as long as the shakeout is as ugly as it is, we need to start with small, and you work your way through. So it blew past my 532 mid-range, which was from the NBI projection, as well as, we didn't, we can do that. Let's do the math, because you wouldn't have gotten this from a daily, because I don't offer these for daily, but let's put the ATR up here, and I'll whip out my calculator. And we can go over to the catfish. So that ATR was 18.16. Okay. So if we go 18.16 and then we multiply it by our 1.236, we get 2244 added to the close of 5/2017 equals 542.61. So that's this halibut target. 542 right there. It's getting close. A little ways to go. But this should give us a dramatic improvement from a shakeout. So all of a sudden you'll go from the depths of hell to being inside minus 12, and it'll be very attractive, particularly on any retrace for Apple. And this is why We look for these kinds of setups where we're testing lows and we're getting improvement in some of our readings. In this case, it wasn't the shakeout. We had been watching our up-down power and saw on Friday how it was making that positive move with the cyan above the yellow, which indicated that we were potentially had our pivot move on a down day. And again, we're going to go over Baidu in just a little bit, so we'll get to that one in just a moment. I think it's on my list. So OVS cranking it out. We already did Cinna. CLF, yes. Well, CLF actually triggered a buy signal back over here when it moved above on the up-down on the power momentum. And sometimes these lag a little bit when you're having these individual stocks. You don't get that kind of lag with the markets because they're more liquid, but sometimes these guys need more shares, and so they have to flush people out to get them before they do their spike maneuver. So, no shock with that. Well, we just keep sailing. Look at this. This is incredible. We might even get to my next stop out, which is up at 25. Just now cresting above there. Oh well. We'll see if it gets there. CLF, beautiful. No shock with that. We love CLF. Loved it when it was collapsing. GS. Alright, so this just adds to the myriad. I mean, what chart have I put up now that did not have a buy signal on Thursday and Friday? So question, yeah, most of the bars should be reached, targets, from the dots, inside of the 6 bars. The 6 bars is really starting to push it. When you get to that point, what you've done is you've kind of lost any momentum that these guys had, because what they've done is, by the time we get the dot, they've already been making accumulations. So this is the end result of where you begin to have that imbalance shift the opposite direction. And if by 6 bars out it hasn't, they haven't pushed it, they're unlikely to be able to, is generally how that goes. So, it's a good point. GS, though, had some rough moments. We came off the red trend, went positive extreme, short setup right here, but then when that short setup was met with the green dot right at this particular point, perfect, and very strong reading from GS, because it didn't even make it down to the cyan from a positive standpoint. Now, let's look at what those daily upside targets is. See, this is an important one, because if you have a general idea what your daily upsides are, you can begin to gauge how you want to treat some of these intraday moves. And this is why I thought it was helpful to go over a lot of these different daily charts as it related to the dots, so that you could get an idea which ones had the best potential for momentum, which ones were close to their targets, which one had not even gotten near their targets. And so this was Thursday. Friday puts in an additional buy. Looked attractive. We were talking about Goldman in that as well. So there it is, 128.72. So another $1.50 plus on that one, and then 129.92. So depending on how you're playing those, and those were off of entries at 125. So fairly decent. Difficult to trade Goldman in those? No. No more so than, your anything else, Baidu, any of these other ones. They really haven't been too complicated. Well, there was the SPY daily. And let's flip this one to Baidu. Take a look at that. Alright, so Baidu had put in our orange dot buy. Back over here, very positive from its power momentum in that, coming off of what would be, I would call, failed red dot. Because what happened was, in this red dot, we were looking at this trailing up and moving very fast up there. And it wasn't a short at that particular point. But right at about here, it started to be attractive on the gray dot. Came down briefly to the gray dot, but just continued to resist that, and then eased its overbought. So while it was overbought at this point, once you get down where these have moved down below the negative 10, it's no longer overbought. So came across here, and then, massive up push, and changing the green trend. Like I say, you look for 2 lower days after the green trend change, and it cents off, and that corresponded to a Friday. Go figure. Long way from the target though, up there at 105.28, only at 100 right now. So there's ways to go to the upside. If we want to take a look at Baidu from a 78-minute, we'll scroll over here and I'll click 78-minute. We'll take a look at the 78-minute reading. Yeah, nothing but buy signals. Look at that. Is that ridiculous or what? So day after day, it's been giving us orange dot, boom, cyan dot, target reached. Green dot suffered a little bit under that, never even got close to the downside of it, then popped up for that. Also had an additional orange dot buys, and then you get a couple more. And so you can see, interestingly enough, that cyan orange dot buyers are a little bit more popular on Baidu for whatever reason. No idea, couldn't tell you why. It is what it is. There's nothing you can do about it. Some of these fractal setup guys prefer different stocks. No way to know which one that they're going to like better. You just begin to see it when you look at them over longer stretches of time. Let's get 10 minutes of what's going on there. I forgot how many shares I have of CLF. 4,000. Okay. It's a decent position. 10-minute chart, not too bad. You don't have the pink dot. That would be one of the few setups, and I haven't converted that one to a dot alert yet. This one has subjective inputs that you can adjust. I'm not even going to get into the whole detail with the formula, but pink dot show means you can do a lot more with your target projections and time frames. It's not one of the signals you get from a dot alert. What you would have got was the trend change, and again, there's the two bars right after a trend change to green. You can buy that green dip there, and then you just follow it. Now, if we put our ABM on here, and members with the indicators can do these things from intraday charts, whatever, you can look for your dips below that then get buy signals, and you can take it from there. Plus 34 on the futures. I think some shorts have gotten a little bit of trouble on this setup, and I mentioned they would. You know, I mean, we all know how many times I beat my head around with everyone on PCLN, and how I thought it was, you know, a great buy setup, and everyone was telling me that they expected the gap to fill, and I just couldn't get anyone to answer me why the gap had to fill. And that's all I was asked, is why. You know, it's fine. I have no objection with the idea of gap fill, and, you know, plenty of people like to trade those kind of concepts, but you got to have something other than just because there's been a space here that it has to fill. It's, I don't follow that logic. What I did follow was that we had quite a few buyers set up at these very key points, and each time they popped it into there, and then we knew when we got this last setup that we wanted to trail that little red move lower because it had, you know, popped up nicely. And gosh, it was back here on Thursday. We ended up with the MBI Friday. We ended up with more bifractals, and now they're very close to hitting that target to the upside. And it's just a matter of putting those right on there. Still looking at 527, 526 for the catfish. 26.72, so pretty close to the same spot. So still another $6 to go on PCLN. So that's a fun ride. And what else do we want? Oh, I wanted to put up like CMG. Pulled down. I want to put up gold. Let's put up GLD first. Do this commodities. All right, gold from the daily has been an interesting trade. We've liked it for a long time. Came down here, dipped below our red line. It's still been in pretty deep and serious trend at minus 22 on the shakeout. Not particularly attractive. It just started to get interesting here when we were retesting these lows, and we moved above our cyan line on this extreme here after having dipped below the red. So we were at or near the same lows with a bifractal. that it popped up, and I liked this range at that particular point. The problem was the ATR had moved down so low; it was pretty tiny at that particular point at 1.49 for an ATR. So it was only projecting 162, 162.12, and what were we at? 162.19. Yeah. So whippy, it made it. It just wasn't as big a mover. That's why we were stronger into X, CLF. Let's put up X, see what X is up to. And sometimes you have to do that. You have to just transition to which one's going to give you a better play from an activity standpoint. X we knew had gotten overbought into this particular point. It was funny because I'd sold 23 calls on it for the previous week. It finished just under the setup the 1 week we did it. Oh no, we sold 23 puts for this last week. But it was over here we had sold calls. Then back here we sold the 23 put. And I think it ended at 23.03. Yeah, it was so close to getting them, but we still got a decent premium. It was 19 cents. Doesn't sound like a lot, but that was pretty good from a weekly standpoint. We trade these things weekly, so we did not get those shares put those too bad. Because looking at it now, would have liked it. We still had shares already, so we didn't need to add to that setup to start the year, but we still own that, and that's fine. And we've been trading this one consistently since way back and followed each of these, but we even had it when it was as high as 27, and still easily traded it all the way below 19 and sold calls, puts, everything as part of our portfolio, and we ended up with very, very nice double-digit returns on X overall for the course of the whole year. Let's put CMG up. Well, do we want to look at Lulu or FSLR? I know I talked about those the previous week. CMG, we were kind of ambivalent about it when it came in. We looked at it before, and nice pop, but we didn't really see anything. There was no new fractal buyers with this setup, and it was pretty ugly from this power momentum standpoint. There was nothing bad about it. We weren't crying or anything. We had seen the retrace coming down from the shakeout, and it had just kind of popped modestly. It had the short target, it reached the short target, and so there's just nothing happening right here, and it's kind of hanging around in this middle range overbought area. So it's probably just getting a little bit of follow through from market, but there was no clear signal to do anything special. So that's all you can really say with it. I mean, it was just didn't have anything to give you when we looked at it last week to say that it was going to do anything special. We saw plenty of other setups that were far more attractive, and we took advantage of some of those. So if you've got a request, go ahead and put them out. I know I did a bunch of them for people last week. Now, Lulu, we talked about this one last week. Okay, we had our green dot, extreme fractal, catfish in the yellow and red. Orange dot came in on Friday, and boom. So, I mean, this one we clearly went over. We were waiting for the transition Friday. It turned around, and this was the overall setup that just seemed pretty apparent. I know it wasn't an easy thing. We were pretty much well positioned for it from our future standpoint. We got burned because we had a stop at like 1385 range, and it dipped like 2.5 points below our future setup. And this is nothing you can do about it. You have to have stops in place at some point. We tried to stay out of the volatility. The problem was that the ATR started to rise, and you can only adjust so much before you are letting things get a little bit out of control. But we still have our SSO, so that's actually doing quite nicely from where it is at this particular point. Nobody's got a request. Okay. Everything's too good. Now let's go back and look at what did I have on there? Oh, Facebook I wanted to do too. It's part of our overall alerts. So Facebook was generally bullish on it and popped up. Nothing shabby with that. Did we do CLF? Let me finish Facebook here. Let's do an intraday on Facebook as well, so that we've got that one covered. Let's look at a 78-minute first. You're not going to get as much movement from a Facebook kind of stock, but we had some nice buy signals that were a couple of days old from the red dot. It gapped down here, and that was perfect for filling in at buying red dot, and boom, nice carry through on that one from a 78-minute for Facebook, and it still has daily upside targets to fill, so shouldn't be done from that standpoint. Let me do this one for Facebook here. There it is from the daily with the orange dot. Still targeting 27.71, so another buck to the upside to go. Nice dip below the red line, still in green trend. That's very bullish. How many times did we just show that one that they haven't finished their bullish upcycle, but did that same dip? So where everyone's thinking the market's about to break down, I'm seeing it as oversold, you know, in the green trend. And that's just the difference that you're going to get with, you know, our indicators and what they're going to, you know, give you from a depiction is overbought, oversold kind of setups. Let's look at CLF real quick here. I want to do an intraday of CLF. We went over this massive new up bar, huge extreme, positive 25 on the differential, up to 20 on our shakeout. Yeah, probably going to retrace. Well, it will retrace eventually that whole move of 35.61, but it's going to get a nice blowout for now. Might carry through for another day or two. We'll see how that one plays out. We're nice into CLF. We went ahead and turned around and wanted to sell 37 calls. I think what did we get? Almost 60-something cents for them. So that's going to happen with these. They're going to overshoot quite a bit. Particularly CLF, I always tell people you got to be expecting this thing can move $4 or $5 in a single day without much compunction. It loves to do it, but we captured all this nice buy signals down at the bottom, and really has been a pretty nice trade. I know a lot of people got stuck in it up in the 50s or even higher, and it's unfortunate, but nothing you can do when those kind of things happen. If you don't have the right indicators, it's going to be tough to stick with it. Because some of the traditional ones, by the time you get a reading on CLF, the move's so past you, there's nothing you can do. So it had a bunch of bifractals on Thursday, pretty much stayed flat Friday, and then boom, explodes today. And that's typically how they'll do these. Same thing with WLT and a lot of the different PXD, some of these other ones that I trade, they all do the same thing. Imagine if we put FSLR up here, we would get similar. I think we put that one up last week. We had liked it before. Let's see how it's doing. 78-minute chart from it. So yeah, I put in the similar kind of bifractals days ago, and then even one this morning, MBI, nice move up from there. Let's take a look at it from a daily standpoint, because I remember we went over it, someone requested it. Yeah, orange dot, still not reached that target there. 32.32 is the upside, so still has plenty of room to make that happen. Let's see, DDD. Let's go ahead and put up some of these ETFs. Alright, from a daily standpoint, we had our buy signal on DDD with the same as the daily for the market, to be honest with you. No difference there. And upside target was 53.16 from the entry at 50.60. So $3. Is that reasonable for you? Nothing too dramatic in med. It's red dot short on that move on Thursday. Friday, put that slight little up move in, and boom. SODA. There you go. Likewise, so I mean, it's beautiful symmetry between some of these. You know, the red dot comes in, meets his target. Green dot by, you know, you have to wait for the red dot to finish his little deal right there, and boom, back up, Could you have faded out of your short when this green dot set it? What I typically do is I set a stop. At the close of this day, I probably would have had a stop. A gap higher, I would have been out. The fact that a gap lower then would have allowed you to stay with it to capture your target, but I would have definitely used the close, and then as you start moving down, I move the low, and then if I hit the target, then I would take it out. Oh, S. Really? Really? People trade this thing? Okay. Cheap is right. Cheap is not always good. That's why I don't even really put B of A up much. Now that it's got back over 10, though, start doing that a little more regularly. So yeah, it had its buy signal. I posted this one. I remember someone was asking about it and put it up there. 563 was the target. So, ooh la la. I mean, you have to trade millions of shares at a time to do that one. I'll put up BAC. Why not? Bank of America, from its daily standpoint, has buyback down in here, plateaus. This is where the ABM on this one actually should be more effective in trailing it. Yeah, follows it very nicely. Because you're not going to get a whole lot of range with this, and people think, oh, well, it trades so liquid you can't manipulate it. And it's hard because the reality is it's not that tough for these guys to do that. I mean, they start moving on the bid and they ask, huge blocks, and it intimidates other people to pull back. What is the ink dot? Or is there an ink dot? Oh, pink? Is that what you meant to? You missed the I in pink? Yeah, the pink dot. Oh, that's a whole different fractal setup. It actually has variable inputs to it. So you can actually adjust, if I go to format, allows you to adjust where the ETR valuations of it are, because within certain stocks it was designed for a bit more of a swing trade. And I can give you the formula, but for calculating what you would look for extra move, but in this particular case, from a daily standpoint, at 991, it was projecting B of A up to 1141, which is a pretty significant move. Back down here to be projecting that high up, and I stopped putting them under because it can squeeze the chart quite a bit, because you have to allow a much larger stop with it. So from a risk to reward standpoint, decent, but you've got a much bigger stop, so you have far less risk with the regular fractals, so I did not include this as part of, because it's already hard enough for some people to grasp the, stop at 2 times an ATR. When I try to put in a, variable multiple that would, change, no, that was going to be too much to be sharing with everyone at this particular point. But for those who have the indicators, yes, they get the orange dot, the pink dot here without any trouble. Pops in there, but that was a pretty ballsy call for B of A at that point, and hit it just a few days back on this little pop-up there. These guys tend to be a much broader and longer drawn-out buy setup. You'll happen to see them a lot on stocks like Intel, a lot of the Dow 30, because they're, again, and this was the part of the topic that StockTwits, the official account, had put up on Christmas. It was about a TED series on YouTube where they were talking about how these large institutions have hired these guys who used to be in defense and things like that to come in and design ways to hide their trades. And what they do is they take what is otherwise a giant whale, which most people think of these big traders as whales trading these huge blocks, and they've taught them how to do it with just 200 and 300 block shares and accumulate millions of shares doing it that way. And this is where everyone complains about the algorithmic volume. Well, you have to create that kind of volume in order to keep your weighted price down, and what they've done is they've broken themselves up into these tiny little particles so that you don't see them. And so this was part of that debate I was having with Sir Isaac Newton on StockTwits about how misguided the concept of utilizing money flow in that was just because he was looking for large blocks on Apple and that as far as a distribution and an accumulation. I'm like, I see the same accumulation, but you're attributing it to the wrong setup, and Apple continued to fade after he had put that in there for quite a few number of days until we ended up with our MBI at the end of last week. And so it's just a little bit of a variation as to what they're trying to do these days. And they're using these algorithms to buy their huge blocks in very tiny fragments so that you don't notice it. And that's the general concept behind the dots and why they work, because your regular support and resistances aren't what they're using. They're off of their own unique setups. I mean, it's just what they're doing. Yes, Oracle wants to do an update. Is there any surprise? Anyone else do their Java updates nonstop? Oh my goodness, it's constant, but I have to do that. Um, the portfolio trades, typically what we do with those is on the website, on the portfolio summary, you'll have where we've closed them out. The individual ones are for the actual members, and we keep before I switched websites, we had the full historical record. I haven't added it back into the regular website that had, oh gosh, all of the old way that we were calculating all of the hedge trades and the portfolio setups. They were in print me files that you could actually download. I actually may have one of those old pages. Let me put it up for you. You can see it that way. I'll slide it out of the way first so that I can locate it. Might not be that easy to find for me. I have to remember what the name was. But if we go to the main website and you go to portfolio positions, don't think I may have it in the archived hedge setups. Yeah, you can see some of them in the archived hedge setups. There were just a few of the random ones. I haven't put down all of the individual ones on there. Um, it gets to be pretty time consuming as far as cataloging all that, and that's why I changed the format to make it both easier on me. It doesn't really change what the overall setups are for us as far as if particular we see the market get overbought or whatever, yeah, we'll be taking some of our portfolio positions and buying long-term hedge puts and then trading options in between and or selling stock and then selling puts to just create an arbitrage. That's pretty much the extent of it. It's not really complicated in the sense that it pretty straightforward how the concept works, but it can get to be laborious for some having to trade options each week. You don't have to do it each week, but I love the weekly option premium, particularly when you have indicators that are going to give you a signal within a 3 to 5 day window. Your expectations tend to be clearer. Are you ever going to be perfect on, when you've sold this one or that one? No, but that's okay. Um, when it comes to the new trades and everything, I mean, in our overall portfolio pages, whenever I go over them nightly, we list the date of when we entered something, the price, target, both for the stock as well as for options. So those are all in there. If you want to take your time, you can go through each of the different setups. Let's see, was there anything else we wanted to cover on this particular setup? Well, let's look at Apple from a short time frame, 10-minute chart. Just for the fun of it, this has been a pretty ridiculous move. Oh my goodness, it's taking forever on that one. Alright, so we ended up with that 10-minute short right here. Came down, boom. Then you ended up with the orange dot, number 120. Well, that 120 is not associated with the orange dot, though, just so you know. Popped up, and then you ended up with the gray dot coming through there. And now I would expect that you've had your follow through. Got positive extreme that happened. If I put the format up here, let's get it back over price. Yeah, we went positive extreme, first grade dot setup, and then carried through a little bit further, but now it's about to retrace those. And you'd look for it to come back to that 528.96 range. No shock with that. Oops. Alright, I'll take any requests if anyone else wants anything. Just scroll through, you know, we might even be able to look at some ETFs. I like to trade TNT. Let's see if I can find out. TNA, actually. That one. Let's change this one. This is a 3 times small cap. And again, it was the same overall setup, buy signal. You're right, I will put up win as well. Good old win. And did we do LVS too? Yeah, win had its buy setup there, came down. Nothing too shocking with that one. Still good range for the up target, 114. So still a ways to go for that overall. That signal came in right about there. Yeah, 108.93. That was the low. The close was 111. Right about there. And typically when you get this kind of dip below, you wouldn't get that from a dot alert, but then again, you wouldn't get your daily dot alerts. But in this case, I would be looking for a discount when we dip below the red line, simply because I know that that low is likely to get retested. So on a move down, once it started to move lower, I would begin to trail that, with the idea of looking to get into it, particularly coming off there. A lot of times what will happen is you get this dip below there, and you know that you're right at a point where you're about to go red trend, and so you're a little more cautious, but you still have to have your buy stop in to get hit on a move back up. You're not going to likely catch the low, because even if we came down to this low, I wouldn't be buying at that low, particularly since I moved to a red trend. And I would definitely be looking at my expanded ratio histogram. In this particular case, what you want to look for, and what's key, is that the orange is above the yellow when you spike up above here. If the yellow is above the orange, you look for a little bit more of a flat to lower. In this particular case, fairly decent with that orange above. That's more in the bullish category. So it's a good way to read that one. I want an update on Apple daily. Let's look at that Apple daily for an update. We'll get more of a change in whether or not there's going to be a reading. Looks good. Nothing special here. Negative 25. So we moved up a little bit from our negative 29 is what we looked at this morning on the ratio. So that looks fine. Still one of those things where we're going to have to see what the reading is for the open tomorrow. That will tell me a lot more as to where that shakeout goes. If the shakeout doesn't improve like I expect it to, then it may be short-lived. And then we'll also look at the extreme to see if it gets overbought. In this particular case, still have those same targets. Like I said, with the halibut, we were in the 542 range, and then we have the overall 555 target. So none of that's changed. It's all pretty straightforward. I haven't looked at his retail in a while. RTH. So retail suffered quite a bit coming off that peak gray dot, positive extreme. Moved here, you can see the yellow was above the orange at this particular point on the dip below. So that's a ratio expanded ratio histogram psi signal, because what that does, it comes down here and then pops back up, and that's where you would cover. You're likely to get a little bit of a rally, but this is going to come back down again. So heads up on that one for those who are trading retail. And you know, I haven't even looked at Dow 30 stocks in a while either. NASDAQ 100. What do we not covered on NASDAQ 100? Halliburton is one that I like to trade. I don't talk about much. there's Halliburton. Got a nice buy signal back here from it, the gray dot. Nothing since. Just kind of kept it off the radar. Why don't I have a Dow tab on here? NASDAQ 100. CHPK. They couldn't let Apple run on Friday for a very good reason. That day was a shakeout day. We were seeing it on most everything where they were trying to convince people to run for the market and trade. And like I was saying, I had my conference call with the Perlman from StockTwits, and I was telling him, I mean, I just couldn't believe how many bullish setups I was seeing on this flush out, and that it looked like these guys were, pulling a shenanigans on people to freak them out. And here we are on the Monday at 31 points. I'll probably have to text him in a little bit and kind of chuckle because it pretty much was exactly what the indicators were showing. Well, let's put on a checkpoint here. So this is the next thing I want to create for everyone, will be an opportunity to get daily dot alerts for various stocks where I put in, like the NASDAQ 100, the Dow 30, S&P 100, and you just get inundated with daily signals when they come, because they're not going to come as often. So it's not going to be something that's like a daily service. It'd be like a monthly, because it's just not going to, you're not going to get it, as many signals in the course of a month's period. Amgen making a little bit of a pop return at an orange dot, just getting back to those levels. So still has a way to go up there, the upside 87 for that one. Get a lot of these we could go through. Why not? Yeah, I'll do AKM next. Green dot, that one should perform better. And see, this is one of the issues where you get, that one wasn't good. Didn't get to their stop, but needless to say, should have done better. Let's put AKM up. Nice buy signal there on Friday. And so you could kind of get a general gauge here as I'm putting up all of these different stocks. They all had the exact same signals at the same time. Is that a coincidence? No. It's not. These guys plan these setups, they follow through on them, and then boom. That one's not doing anything in particular. Let's look at JPM while we're here. We haven't followed it in a little while. Come up, getting back up to those high ranges. Head back over here. We got down over here, and it started to cascade lower. We had the buy signals, but we were more interested in getting into some of the other hotter commodities that would have a bigger bounce. I mean, it's only moved $4. We've been playing CLF, and that was much higher moves, much higher. Altria not doing so hot. Oh, let's put Qualcomm. Trades Qualcomm. Anyone out there trade Qualcomm? Yeah, let's hit the target. Red trend. Got overbought really fast. Retraced. I wouldn't be trading that. No interest in that. It's not even clean. It's not put together, at least not recently. Back here we were starting to see some buy signals back there, and it was pretty good from those, but nothing recent. Oh, how's the NASDAQ doing? You know what? I gave you guys the NQ a What was it? Thursday. Yeah, Thursday I gave everyone the NQ as a buy, which is the NASDAQ futures. Oracle got overbought, great dot short, nothing from there. This one gets people thrilled up because they get this. Here's their gap fill, and it finally did that. But what you had was you had the extreme overbought, needed to retrace at least that level, and then you went off the highway, and unfortunately went the wrong way where you had the yellow above the orange, which was looking for more of a retrace than just the minor, and boom, came down and has been cascading on the extreme. But Power Mo showed it clearly. All yellow above after getting the spike out move. So, was never going to improve. Well, hopefully that helped with everyone on getting a chance to see how to read the overall emails. Again, probably later I will convert these and end up getting them on YouTube. Oh, wow.
It's lunch, baby.
That's lunch. You're right. You know, the day's ending for everyone, and we're just looking at lunch. I know. That looks fantastic. Thank you. We're just about to end our live broadcast here.
Make sure you wish everybody a Happy New Year.
I absolutely want to wish everyone a Happy New Year and continued success in trading. And again, hopefully, you know, some of you will want to try out the MBI indicators in that. And I know I've already gotten a bunch of requests from people who want to try them out. We've gotten the 60-day free trial from TradeStation, so good for them. They're going to enjoy that. NVIDIA, we traded this early on in the year, did very nicely with it, put in a beautiful orange dot on Friday, go figure, and started off nicely from there. Let's put up Intel, because it's always good to put Intel with that one at the same time. And yes, people have the indicator sit there and go through all these little charts, and you can either do it that way, or you can do it like I do on the dot alert screen, right here. This is what your dot alert screen, everyone's getting dot alerts. These are all the little stocks on here, and it goes through. Each of the different setups are detailed in there. Let's see if I squeeze it down. I can scroll it across. So all little dot alerts in there. All these little white dots represent they're active. And boom. But theoretically we could put them on every one of these stocks. Every one of these S&P. So those are all available. They just haven't put that together for everyone yet. It's coming. Be on the lookout for it. Because even if you didn't want to transition, just being able to have the dots on a daily basis to know where your potentials were, I think people would find useful. You'll have to let me know. Maybe, maybe not. Not everybody is going to like them, because the reality is they're going to come in at points where your traditional indicators are going to say run. Can't spell Yahoo the traditional way. You've got to take that out. And that's just something that, you know, it's hard for swing traders in particular who have pivot points, and they have their support and resistance S1s and all the different support lines. And those are fine, but at the end of the day, they are just coalesce points where they've seen a lot of activity. But you don't know that that isn't just where a person's been buying. And a lot of times I'll get my buy signal just a little bit below those levels, right around them, and that's right where people are getting out. And I'm getting a buy signal. And that's what throws them off. Yahoo still got a little ways to go to get to that target. Perfect 20 on that target. So how much easier does that get? It's right on 20. You don't even have to think about it. And then for me, I even have a whole list of weekly options. Oh, you know, I went and buy one of these the other day. We went and saw the Les Miserables, and only the second one I've seen out west here. Buffalo Wild Wings. I've never actually been in one, never eaten at one. In fact, it was just a little while ago that we went to our Chipotle Mexican Grill for the first time. It was okay. Nothing thrilling. Alright, so you can see they've lined up big time buying BWLD on the decline. Um, Great trail for red trend, and boom, Friday was the big day that they bought it, pulled it out. See, and then this is what'll happen. Sometimes they can't stop it from rising. They just there's just no more supply to the downside, and that's when it starts to take off. 73, 74 range, so somewhere in the mid 74 range. Our target on a dollar plus, hiding out in Buffalo Wild. I put this one up for people a while ago. Trip. Yeah, kind of languished there. It was pretty good. We captured a nice up move. Had the short red dot right here. Can't even see the red dot on there, can you? Down hawk 44. Target was 38. Never hasn't reached the down target. Had plenty of buys in between, but interesting. What else we got? Were good to have these because you can always go back on YouTube, look at them, check out the chart. There's no I. Nothing special with that one. Let's go to one of my wife's favorites. We had liked Michael Kors when we had this nice little dip going there. Ended up with a good one. Had a nice short signal. Boom. GAM came in. That projects, 52-ish. A little ways to go for that GAM to be satisfied. Not out of control. Let's look at Melly while we're here. Oh, let's do ISRG because I remember we had seen that that was a leader and then it was starting to look decent. Now, like I said, this isn't something you wanted to get married to because it was still pretty weak, and that was pretty ugly on its shakeout. And it already had a nice move on the power momentum with no price improvement, so that was not the most attractive of setups. So we suggested that there were other places to go and put your money. LNKD. Just had our signals back there, and it's been pretty quiet as far as bifractals. They pretty much locked it up. That's it. Nothing you can do. Let's check how the futures are doing at the end. We're still up near our highs. Still 5 points away from where I have my last sell target. But I'll be back in it again. No reason to be afraid of that one. NXPI. I've had a bunch of people ask about NXPI. Last time I put it up, I believe it was back over here with this halibut signal to the upside, and gosh, it's pretty close to the target there, isn't it? And right there was the buy. So the problem when you get in some of these consolidations is you lose your ATR strength, and while that's not great for the size of your up target, it is what it is, and so you have to just fit within it. So 23.58 to a 26.30 something, you're looking at about $3, just a fraction under, and it hit it. So fantastic. What else is there over here? What's some of the classics? My girls love this one. Grandma gives them the gift cards and they want to go and get their little games. That's been pretty ugly. I remember they were asking about it, and it was right about this point. I'm like, no, Target's not looking good. Trail it lower with that, even though it had the the dot buy, it already peaked out over here and it started to move over. And I'm like, oh, you can just keep trailing that lower. And now you've passed your 6 bars, so that would negate the value of that signal. What are we? Plus 35 on futures. Gotta love that. Boring. Not gonna get anything from there. Bud. Yeah, we'd looked at the Amex before. It was kind of flat too. Nothing special with that setup. I thought maybe something might change with the day, but no change. We liked Walmart back before it made its nice run. Back over here, get kind of flat, dipping below. We were expecting retraces at the low after this one when this bifractal setup came in, and it's pretty much just been blah, blah. Coca-Cola was another one of those blahs. It said you just, from back up here, leave your trail buy at this particular point, and then you just keep every couple of days, lower it as you reach the lows, you put it in the GAM, you can come back down to there, so down to the 39.40 range before buying it. Went HLF. We've looked at HLF. I think I warned against HLF that it was going to have a little pop. But yeah, HLF, that's still ugly. And then I talked about this because the checkout was so ugly. That little pop, it's now overbought. So yeah, I would look for a retrace in HLF. So it's had its nice move, nice pull up from the GAM, but you're going to want to see that low retested. Let's put up a DNK. Yeah, nice buy signal right there, and it already hit the target. Gotta like that. WFM, I liked it. Looked pretty good from before, and finally, because when you had this red trend dip, we never even got near the dip back down to the red line. Those become very positive, so it looks like they were just looking for the accumulation on it. What are the targets? Well, you had this one Friday, you had the other one higher up. 92.35 upside, another dollar. Well, we're gonna close out here, and like on Friday, I mean, that was crazy. Remember we were watching everything live. I was just closing out of all of those future setups, and then lo and behold, I exited, and then boom, we just ended up with this massive decline that was happening in those last few minutes, and that just froze my ability to broadcast at that particular point. And once I closed it out, I was just like following everything lower, and it just became a buying spree at that point on Friday when everything was just caving. And then futures continued to cave even after the market closed, and that became a really nice way to close it out. I will put up Apple here as I turn off the mic, and I think what I'll do is I'll just let it run for you for if you want to watch it. Fine. I'll put an intraday up after doing this daily right there. So there it is, and we'll put up. Well, we knew Apple was going to dip. Did it dip back down to our targets? Is the question. We were looking for that. Oh yeah, on Friday you're talking about. Yeah, on Friday Apple rose right up and hit that target we were looking at early, and but the longer time frame still had the buy signals higher. there's the 10-minute following the ATM. Open up my Coca-Cola. It's holding up pretty well because this is what you like to see when you get this kind of shows that shorts have attempted to attack this setup right within here, but that usually works fine at the beginning, but then they usually want to try and pull this back up, and it's this lower rise in the next shakeout that will be a little more problematic for Apple. But heck, nice run. Well, everyone, that's going to do it for me. With 5 minutes to go, I'm just going to mute the mic. I will let this run, and I may just flip between different time frames, but I'm going to enjoy my lunch while it's here. If you have requests, you can just keep putting them on the ticker. I'll watch them as I'm eating here, and I can just make the adjustments. But Happy New Year to everyone, and hope you're not overwhelmed with all those dot alerts. Trade well.